for you today. We are now, N-O-W, going to go to Mass. Huh? All right, see, look. Reality, you see, reality. This is the great. The reality is show. So what is real? You know, there was a famous brain surgeon recently. He was a convinced atheist or agnostic. And of course he thought that all this spiritual stuff was miasma, was just phantasms. And he had some kind of problem. And he was out for the count for a week. He was in a coma for a week. When he came back again, he said, now I realize this world is evanescent. The real world is heaven. But actually, the Christian concept is both are real. This world is real, that world is real. But the reality of this world depends on the reality of God himself, as we all know. In other words, I am. Okay, now, it says here, reality. And now it says, what was ritual in the Old Testament becomes reality in Jesus Christ. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that the whole of the Old Testament is prefiguring. They have all these signs. The sign of the lamb, the sign of grapes, the sign of bread, the sign of air, the sign of teaching, way, etc. All the sign of Torah, the sign of Sinai, the sign of the covenant, they were all signs, they were rituals. So when many people criticize the Catholic Church and they say, oh, there's a lot of rituals. Well, that's true in this sense, but what is a sacrament? A sacrament is an outward sign of inward grace. So the ritual is the outward sign. The reality is Jesus Christ. So when we see, for example, the performance of the Blessed Sacrament or the communion or confession or baptism, we see water, these are all signs. But the reality is there, the reality is Christ. So all the signs in the Old Testament become reality in Jesus Christ. So everything is real now. It's not just a fantasy. Now, we just stated the blood of Jesus Christ shed on the mercy seat, when we just mentioned. You see, in Romans 3:2-1, Jesus Christ is the mercy seat and he is the blood. Okay, this is expiation. Now, all even in the world is purified by contact with the infinitely pure. In other words, we are a pretty messy lot. But when we go to Mass, our mess goes onto Jesus Christ, the ritual here, and becomes purified. So that's the whole sin. So now it says here, the hilasterion is the mercy seat, Greek. The mercy seat is Christ himself, the kippurim. So Jesus is the mercy seat. Jesus is the hilasterion. Jesus is the kippurim. Jesus is the complete expiation of all things. Jesus is the pure sacrifice. Jesus is the feast of the atonement. So all of us become part of that. So we can say that, in other words, this is Mass. Yeah. Okay. JHS, Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. Now we're going to the next one. What do we got here? Okay. All right. Now what we have here is just a very simple. So have a look, because we're going to go to the Holy Sepulchre. So what we have here, this is the atrium. Now entrance. We go in the entrance. We have that's the three holy women. Well, we all know three holy women went to see where Jesus was buried. And then we have a mosaic of the crucifixion. The stone of unction, that means where Jesus Christ was. They brought oil and things to put on Jesus Christ's body. Chapel of Abraham, Chapel of John, Chapel of Michael, Adam's tomb. Well, we're going to this Adam's tomb in a few minutes. Mary Magdalene, Jesus appeared to Mary Magdalene here. This is the version, this is the Greek part of the church. This is the Chapel of the Angel, the Coptic, the Jewish tombs, and we'll go into more detail what all these things are all about. But this is the map of sort of you see, you have the nailing of the cross, Jesus dies on the cross, chapel of the finding of the cross, chapel of heaven. So you got all these things here, and we'll go along the crosses. So when we go in there, we can see, you know, Saint Longinus. They say, according to tradition, Longinus is the centurion, or whoever it was, who put the lance into Jesus' body. So they have the chapel of Longinus. The division of the raiment. What does the division of the raiment mean? So according to tradition, Jesus' wore a seamless garment. Jesus wore, okay, that's a raiment. Okay, this division of the raiment means the division of Jesus Christ's garments. So when he had to take off his clothes, and he put down his clothes here, and we all say, because they did a bit of gambling to find out which part of his clothing belonged to certain people. And because the seamless garment was one completely seamless, it couldn't be torn in half, so they had a little bit of a gamble, find out. And now that symbolized. Now the interesting thing is, we've just stated that Jesus Christ is the high priest. So the Greek word for the garments of Jesus Christ is the same word as we used for the Old Testament high priest. In other words, Jesus Christ on the cross was performing a high priestly activity. He was wearing as his garments, the name of the garments was the same as the name of the garments of the high priest. So Jesus Christ is our high priest. According to Melchizedek, all the priests of the world, they share in the priesthood of Christ. And every Catholic, every baptized person shares in the prophetic, kingly, and high priestly functions of Jesus Christ. That's why all the masses, we don't just go to mass and listen to what's going on, part of that. We all become part of the drama of Christ's death, resurrection, realignment, reconciliation, atonement of the whole of life. And so in the division of the raiment, that commemorates the fact that Jesus was the high priest, because the name of his clothes was the same as the name of the high priest. And the prison of, it says Longinus, we've just stated before, that you can say John stated that when they came to Jesus' body after the crucifixion, they found that the two people with him, they're already dead. So what did they do? The two people, they came to Jesus, and they found out that he was still anyway. So they took a lance and they put it into his side, and blood and water came out of his side. The blood symbolizes the Eucharist. The water symbolizes baptism. In other words, Jesus Christ is the church. So you say, what is the Catholic Church? The Catholic Church is the living, everlasting covenant. The Catholic Church is the Mass. The Catholic Church is Jesus. The Catholic Church is the whole universe. The Catholic Church is the Holy Trinity with itself. That's the whole caboodle, all functioning through the rites of the Catholic Church. Okay, now the marking of the finding of the cross, we'll show it. We'll come down in a minute. We'll come down to showing what happens here in the tomb, the chapel of the apparition, Mary Magdalene. Okay, we'll come to this in due course. Okay, let's follow this thing here. Okay, now crucified, was carved and buried, rose from the dead. Okay, the Holy Sepulchre. Okay, we have the Holy Sepulchre. Now, this is when we go. Okay, this is the entrance to the Holy Sepulchre. Now, what we can see here is two doors. Now, why do we have two doors? And there's a little chapel here. Well, these are chapel. We've just started. This is the entrance. This is the atrium, and we have the two doors here. And these are the archivolts, and these are the acanthus, which is the kind of design on the capitals. These are the capitals, and they have the acanthus designs here, and these are the archivolts, and these are the cinders, and these are the two doors. And this is the chapel of Our Lady of Sorrows that used to be an entrance to the second floor where the Calvary is. And here we have another three chapels, and you have another three chapels here. And this is the atrium. Now, this looks all very peaceful and quiet, but in historical terms, there was turmoil, because in this this is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. There are at least 5 denominations. You have the Egyptians, you have the Coptics, you have the Greek Orthodox Catholics, etc. And they're all taking part, and they all have their little assignment. For example, these are the Copts that come here, and etc. etc. Each church, each denomination is responsible for one part. So as we said, the thing is pretty cacophonous and pretty dodgy, because if you begin to say Mass at 10 o'clock when the Greek Orthodox people have just finished Mass at 9:45, there's all sorts of things. So here there have been literally battles, and people have died here fighting. People have died fighting here and inside. Now, this double gate, what does this bring to mind? And if we go to Jerusalem from the Mount Olives, looking across to Jerusalem, we see what is called the Beautiful Gate. Now, you have the Beautiful Gate, the Gate of Mercy, the East Gate. They sometimes get confused, and so they have all sorts of associations. I have the associations. The Beautiful Gate is where Jesus Christ, he would go from Mount Olives to the temple. The Beautiful Gate, it has two portals, okay? The Beautiful Gate is where Joachim and Anne met each other and where John was conceived. The Beautiful Gate will be opened up when the Messiah comes. The Beautiful Gate is where Ezekiel said that the Shekinah, in other words, the living presence of God, went out through the East Gate and went over Olives and kept gone. The Beautiful Gate is also the Emperor Heraclius. After the Persians invaded Israel, and there was all sorts of goings on, the Emperor Heraclius, a brilliant guy, brilliant general, he attacked armies of Persians and defeated them in good style, and he brought back the crucifix. But when he came to the Holy Gate, the different versions, he couldn't go through. But anyway, basically, these 2 gates here, portals, mirror the gates of Jerusalem, so they were aligned. So if you came into the Jerusalem from the Eastern Gate, the Golden Gate, straight ahead, you come to this. So some people said that Golden Gate was built by the emperor himself for this little ceremony when he brought back the true cross into this place here. And I was just saying there are all sorts of things. There's a tomb here of an English knight which survived because there was a bench there where the Turkish soldiers used to chat there, and they didn't know there was an English tomb underneath because it would have meant that it would have been desecrated. But all these little rituals, how to open the door, they have a Muslim gate man, and then you have a Greek gate man, and they come out with this little ladder here, and this guy gives you a key here, and the whole thing is very complicated. We can't go into it at the moment. Okay, now here, so that's the entrance of this. Now, okay, now, preface. Well, this just happens to be one of those chapels. There's Mass going on, so we just mentioned, this is what we're talking about, when he says, Ecce Agnellus Dei, behold the Lamb of God. Okay, that's going on in one of the chapels. All right, now, so we have here, we're going down to this thing here. This is one of the Greek Orthodox paintings. I can't remember. I think it's Longinus, the chapel here. Now, you see this word omphalos. You see this word omphalos. We'll just remember the word omphalos. The omphalos means navel here, because this church is supposed to be the center of the universe. The omphalos is the Greek for navel. The center of the world, the omphalos, okay? Because this place is the center of the world. Everything changed after this. Now, what happened was, this is, you see, Jesus Christ said to his apostles, okay, well, I'm coming to the end of this little part, but I'll continue next time. And I'll just tell you, the next one is going to be, when you have lifted me up, you will know that I am he. In other words, when I am crucified and you look at me, you will know that I am God. Okay, God bless.